Something rather unexpected is making its way to Final Fantasy 15, and that is none other than a multiplayer mode. Yes, multiplayer. Crazy, right? It is going to be an online co-op multiplayer mode, and it's going to be implemented as part of the game's DLC. Now, we don't know much about the mode. It is called Comrades, and it will be part of the £20 season pass, the last part, incidentally, and will be sold separately. And these will follow 3 episodes where you play as Gladio, Ignis, and Prompto, respectively. So, it does seem the multiplayer is a ways off, which of course is why it's last in line on the DLC season pass. Development on this particular thing only kicked off in the summer, and of course this was alongside the release date delay of the main game. Now, I do have some comments from Haruyoshi Sawatari, who spoke to Eurogamer in a phone interview, and they said, quote, "When we started on working on Final Fantasy 15, we had a solid plan in place for expanding the game after release. We wanted to expand the gameplay further and in different directions, and the content that we added was going to have to be something really valuable to the player. Then, in summer this year, we decided we were going to have to delay the release of the main game, and we actually formed a special sub-team within the development team itself in order to realise that vision and really get the DLC where it's supposed to be. We drew up a roadmap for the DLC and what we're going to do. The first thing we wanted was to take the 3 Comrade characters in the game, in addition to the player character Noctis, and to make these characters playable in their own right. So we're going to do individual story episodes, one episode focusing on each of the characters in the game, and in those we're going to be adding new gameplay styles and mechanics, as well as new locations to visit. There's going to be new story sections as well. The Gladio episode, for example. Gladio, as a character, is very much a heavy hitter. He's a big, powerful, brawling style fighter, so his DLC is really going to reflect on how it plays. In the same vein, Ignis being the strategist, the intellectual character, his gameplay is going to be more strategic and tactical in the way it plays out, and Prompto is going to be more shooting based. Now, as you would expect, the multiplayer mode does let you play together using these characters online, so we're looking at a 4-player co-op mode here, basically. Perhaps more, but at least 4 players. And of course, balance is going to be something that's critical, as with any multiplayer mode, even if it's co-op. And not making it visual mess is going to be key as well, because if anyone's played the demos of Final Fantasy 15, you know that the battles can actually get pretty hectic with lots of effects and stuff going on the screen. You can keep track, but of course it is quite visually aggressive, shall we say. So that will obviously be, and then trying to keep an eye on your partners and communicate with them. It might be a bit hectic, so that's definitely going to be something interesting to keep in mind. Of course, you've already got all the players on screen doing all their attacks in the base game, so that's not going to be an issue. But you're then putting it on top of, like, hey, we have to work together to do this thing, whatever it happens to be. It's going to be really interesting, and it's going to be the first multiplayer mode outside of, obviously, the MMO games, which doesn't really count because that whole game is multiplayer. So, this actually sounds like it could be really interesting, and to be honest, the DLC for the game is actually sounding pretty good, but of course, let's get to the main game first before we get to that. Now, one last thing is some comments from Hajime Tabata, of course, the game director of Final Fantasy 15, who spoke very briefly on the Nintendo Switch. He was shown a picture of the particular console by the French gaming site gameblog.fr while attending Paris Games Week, and he did seem to be fairly enthusiastic for the system. And he said, quote, "It is a machine that interests me enormously as a player but also as a developer. Nintendo Switch that can turn into a joystick which can be put into a base which can move, or one which can replace elements." So it seems that we may indeed see some of their works make their way to the Switch, of course. This is just an offhand comment that he made at Paris Games Week, so we shouldn't take it as gospel or anything, but it still shows that he's interested in the machine. So, an interesting future for Final Fantasy 15. The wait, of course, is almost over for this game. I really hope it's good. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.